Good morning, everybody. My name is Randy Nobles. I am your MC for this morning. I stand up here wearing several hats. First of all, I'm the CEO of Habitat for Humanity of South Palm Beach County, at least for a few more weeks. Secondly, I'm past chair for 2 years of the Boca Raton Chamber Board. And lastly, proudly, I sit on the governing board of West Boca Medical Center, which is an organization over the last 5-6 years I've learned a lot about, and what a quality organization that we have in our community. So I'm very proud of that, and very proud to have them here as sponsors, and very proud to be up here as part of the representation of the organization. It's good to see everybody. I've been to a few breakfasts. I don't know, are there people out here who this may be their first breakfast either ever or since the pandemic? So quite a few people. So, I've been up here probably, I was trying to count with a couple of years as chamber chair and emceeing this several times and different things. I've probably been standing up here probably 40, 50 times over the last 15 years at the breakfast. And, something I kind of took for granted, but never felt so good to be standing up here again. So, to be honest with you. So with that, I'm going to invite up our invocator, Stephanie Hicks, who is the Senior Sales Manager at Wyndham Hotel, Boca Raton, and Leadership Boca Alumnus Class of 2018. Stephanie? Yeah, please stand.
Good morning. I'm honored to be able to lead this morning's prayer. Please join me as we give thanks. Dear Lord, we thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here today in the company of fellow members of the community. Give us the kindness to hear with compassion, to offer support for others, and love our families. Give us the vision to see what is possible. Give us the courage to do what is right. Give us the faith that will help pave the way for present that is hopeful and present future. Please keep an eye over our armed forces that are protecting this beautiful country and keep them safe. Bless this food we are about to eat. Amen. Now join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Please be seated. I'd like to introduce the head table. If we could just take a minute for that, and then some of our VIPs that are here. To my far left, everybody knows Troy, who is the President and CEO of the Boca Raton Chamber of Commerce. Next to him, George Rizzuto, who is the CEO of West Boca Medical Center. George, I remember when you came here, it just seemed like it was yesterday, and it's been almost 2 years already, so welcome. To my far right, Stephanie Hicks, who you just heard from, our invocator. Michael Daskell, who, again, many of you know, Daskell Bolton, he is our current chair. In his second term as chamber chair. And Sharice, I believe, is here. Dr. Sharice Richardson, OBGYN, West Boca Medical Center. And then lastly, to my immediate right, Dr. George Perez, who's the medical director of neonatal and newborn services at West Boca Medical Center. So thank you all for being here. Our VIPs, you've met Michael Daskell, who is our current chair from Daskell Bolton. You've met Troy, our president and CEO. George Rizzuto, who is on the Boca Chamber Board as well as Jordan Sherwood. I know Jordan's here from ESPN, who is on the board as well. Myself as past chair of from Habitat 2013 and 2014. Our ambassadors, John McClaskey from Leading Edge Mortgage. John, thank you. From our tourism committee, Barbara Cambia from Lynn University. Barbara, thank you. In the back. And then the head of our Pulse group, Jordan Sherwood from ESPN. Jordan, thank you. Council members, as far as Boca City officials, Andy Thompson, I know I just saw Andy in the crowd. County officials, the ever-present Vice Mayor, Robert Weinroth. Bob, I know I saw you. Thank you for being here. And from our school board, as well, a regular attendee, Frank Barbieri, our chairman of the school board. Frank, thank you for being here this morning. And that concludes the list. So with that, I am going to ask Michael Daskell, our current chamber chair, to come up and share a few words with us. Michael, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Randy. Just wanted to thank George and West Boca Medical Center, really. The last meeting that we had before the pandemic, George and West Boca was the sponsor. And we appreciate it because I think things were already getting weird, and you stepped up, and I think it's very much appreciated. And then this is the first one where nobody's wearing a mask, so it's really cool. So, thank you very much to West Boca Medical Center and to the staff that's here as well. The staffers worked really hard. Going through the pandemic, I think just talking to Troy and Sarah and Firdos and the salespeople and other people at the chamber, was a little curious as to how the membership would hold up, and they were doing their best to provide programming, and it's really hard to keep everybody engaged and happy and have morale, and so the chamber staff, along with Troy, has worked really hard, and we're still doing really well. I mean, we have 1,550 members, so we're 150 or 200 short maybe from our peak, but all told, the membership is strong, and we have this sold-out event, which looks great. So thanks to all the chamber staff and for all the members to hang in there with everybody. This is our 6th breakfast, but we have some other events coming up in person as well. Successful Women in Business. We have the young professionals that are meeting. We have our golf tournament on June 4th. If anybody needs information on that, Troy, we still need foursomes, I presume. I still have to sign up for a foursome. And then I guess the biggest one in August, we have Wine and Jazz at the Boca Resort. So again, thanks to Troy, the chamber staff, to West Boca Medical Center. Greatly appreciated, and thanks everybody.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the May membership breakfast along with Chairman Daskell. We are so excited to see this room filling up again. As he mentioned, this is our 6th in-person breakfast in a row. And we're going to start adding chairs to these tables, start getting it back to full capacity soon, very soon. So we're very excited to look out and see that. Thank you, Randy. This may be Randy's last MC job employed. We're always going to bring him back, but 47 more days or so. So congrats on your retirement. Yes. Did an amazing job in the banking industry for 30 some odd years, and then he brought Habitat for Humanity to new heights. So we're excited. I hope you ask me to golf with you once in a while in your retirement. Also want to recognize Chuck Stout. I'm going to talk about Golden Bell, but the chair of our Golden Bell Education Foundation is here. Chuck Stout, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Also on the board with Randy of West Boca Medical Center. And speaking of West Boca Medical Center, Chairman Daskell mentioned this, but it's certainly worth additional recognition. A year ago, this month, as Chairman Daskell said, things were weird. And we were looking at, our programmatic offerings, and oh my gosh, what do we do? We barely got our March breakfast in, and if anyone was there, it seemed like a long time ago, we had one of the health directors from the U.S. Chamber come and speak. And we didn't even know what the heck was going on, and we had to take April off, of course, and kind of assess. And then George and West Boca Medical Center stepped right up and said, yeah, we still want to support the Chamber. We still want to communicate all the good things that we're doing out here to the membership, and was the very first virtual breakfast sponsor that this organization has ever had. So George and Team West Boca, thank you very much for that. I also want to recognize the chairman of the board, Michael Daskell's counterpart, in Yonkers, New York, is here. Howard Berman and his wife, Carol, are here. Howard, stand up. Welcome. And there's his wife, Carol, all the way down from Yonkers, New York. So Howard chaired the Yonkers organization, I think it was 1989 or so. And they missed him so bad and wanted him back. So here we are in 2020, 21, doing it again. So Mike, be on the lookout. In another 20 so years, I might be bringing you back. And you too, Randy. You've done 2 years, but you still could come back. But Howard and Carol, thank you for joining us this morning. Welcome to beautiful Boca Raton. I know that there are a number of new members that are in the room. They might be wearing a name tag with a red stripe across it. Can you just stand up and we can give you a proper welcome? These are all experienced. There's no newbies. None? There you go. There's the brave soul. Welcome to the Chamber. Thanks for being a part of our family. Appreciate it. And then Randy mentioned the chair of the ambassadors group, but we have many others, and I want to have the ambassadors stand so we can recognize them, give them some applause. The ambassadors play a critical role for us in any environment, but it became even more important during COVID just to stay connected with you all, and we appreciate all of their efforts. I tell this story every year, and I got to tell it quickly. I know, Mr. Chairman, not a long time. But my son was born at West Boca Medical Center. He was 2.5 months or so premature. So his mother spent 30 days in the L&D, the labor and delivery of West Boca Medical Center. That alone, carrying our son, that alone was an experience. And then my son spent 30 days in the level 3 NICU at West Boca Medical Center. And so it was very scary and at the time, and trying at the time. But my son is now a 20-year-old graduate of Florida Atlantic University, strapping, healthy young man. And because we're able to have that care and access to that care, that level of care in the NICU at West Boca Medical Center, our son is a healthy, vibrant young man today. So George and Team West Boca, thank you very much for that. All right. So let me just make a couple of announcements. Chairman Daskell mentioned a few things. We are gearing up. We're a little over midway through our fiscal year. We're gearing up. Not only the in-person breakfasts, have been happening now. Our successful women in business, our young professionals, all now meeting in person. And again, we're going to continue to drive in that direction. But some of our bigger events are coming back as well. And Chairman Daskell mentioned our golf tournament. It's our 51st annual golf classic on June 4th, as he mentioned, at the Boca Resort. It's a beautiful course if you have never golfed at the Boca Resort. East course. There is one off Congress, but this is the one east on the grounds of the resort. We're probably going to sell out. There's room right now, but we're probably going to sell out. So if you want to get a foursome, if you want to sponsor, please let me know, let Chastity know. We'd love to have you get in there. It's a great day on a beautiful course. There is a form at your seat if you want to fill out your foursome right now and give it to us, and we'll nail it down for you. And then there is one of the coveted sponsorships of that is the beverage cart sponsor. Right, so if any of you who ever golfed in a tournament before, you're probably visiting the beverage cart, enough, right? And so there's a lot of exposure for a sponsorship on that cart. That sponsorship is open. So I'm looking at Ken Ronan. I don't know why I'm looking at Ken Ronan, but I'm saying, maybe there's an opportunity for some serious marketing for your company. Let us know if you're interested. And speaking of alcohol, not that, the Chamber's about that, but we are bringing back the annual Boynton Beach Food, Wine, and Brew Fest in Boynton Beach. It's going to be on Friday, the 25th of June, so you got a little bit of time. But we bring some of the great restaurants and breweries in wine into a venue which is new this year. I don't know if anybody's seen the new Cultural Arts Center, which is right across the street from the new Boynton Beach City Hall complex. It's beautiful. So that's where we're going to be for that. We'll be pushing more information out to you as well, but try to get that on your calendar for Friday, June 25th. And we keep rolling. After that big event happens, then we're going to recognize some of our business leaders, and we're going to have our Business Awards Luncheon. That's going to be on Friday, July 30th, back at the Boca Resort and Club. Many of you have been there. 3 awards: Small Business Leaders of the Year, Naomi and Todd Cohn with Cinnaholic. The Business Leader of the Year, Matt Linderman, the GM of Boca West. And the Business of the Year, this very facility we're in, the Boca Raton Marriott. So join us for that. Get your tables and sponsorships for that. That's going to be a fun event as well. Then we roll right into August, and everybody knows what August is. August is Boca Chamber Festival Days, and that's the Chamber's commitment to our nonprofit community. We have well over 100 members of our organization that are nonprofits that are doing amazing work in our community. And so we like to partner for-profit businesses with those not-for-profits, pair up. They'll create a really cool event and raise money for that nonprofit. So Allison, raise your hand, stand up. She's managing that process for us. I think we have almost 10 events right now. And the dates, the key dates start to fill up. So let Allison know that you want to do an event, even if you don't have an idea yet, get it on the calendar. She can help, find a for-profit partner with you and come up with a cool fundraising event. And then we go into September. I know it's far out, but it's right around the corner. We're going to recognize another business leader, and that's our Diamond Award Luncheon. That's going to be on Friday, September 10th, again at the Boca Resort. And we're going to recognize Sophia Eccleston with FPL. We made that announcement a long time ago. Originally, this event is in the beginning of the year in February. We've moved it back to accommodate, and so you don't want to miss that as well. She's an amazing woman, amazing speaker. So please get your calendar set on Friday, September 10th. And as if that wasn't enough in terms of activity, I mentioned Golden Bell and our chairman, Chuck Stout, here. Our board just met on Tuesday morning for our annual grant process, where we take a look at, there were almost 70 grants that were submitted by the local public schools, K-12 in Boca Raton. Can I give him the number, Mr. Chairman? Is it okay if I bleed it out to this audience? I know Marcy's here. Marcy might print this. That might not be a bad thing. But, after, a 2.5-hour meeting, unbelievable work by Chuck, and his leadership is amazing on the board. We will, once again this year, be awarding all total, with all of our grants, over $100,000 through the Golden Bell Education. It's just amazing. Thank you for all the sponsors and support of that, whether you're involved in the grant process with just donations, whether you're involved with our Young Entrepreneurs Academy. Thank you for that very much. And then last night, we had the orientation for Golden Bell's big annual fundraiser. You know what that's called? Battle of the Bands. Battle of the Bands. We're back. It's going to be back on. It's going to be on September 25th over at Brick. And so, yeah, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've already been in it. There's rock stars all over here. And then raise your hand if you're going to be in it this year. Right? So, yeah, it's a ton of fun. Yeah, they deserve a round of applause for it's the most fun concert you'll ever go to, and it's supporting Golden Bell. So get that on your calendar. And then lastly, I just want to remind everybody that we are in preparation for our annual magazine. I know many of you use it. You request our marquee publication. We're gearing up for that. You can advertise in that. That helps the chamber as well. We partner with JES Publishing. And so you're probably going to get a phone call from Bruce Klein. Everyone in this room knows Bruce Klein because he'll keep calling you unless you return his call. So just return his call. trying to make that book look as good as possible, but that's coming up, and we produce about 20,000 copies of that, so it's good exposure throughout the business community. We share that in other places around the country as well. So, again, thank you so much for being here, George and Team West Boca. Thank you so much for all your support, the sponsorship of this breakfast, what you do for my family, and everything else that you do in this community. You guys you're heroes during this time. I'm glad we're not last year, May. I'm glad we're at May of 2021. So everybody have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Troy. Most certainly sounds like the chamber is back. So before I introduce our sponsor and George, something to point out, which the astuteness and awareness of Vice Mayor Weinroth called this to my attention. In your little goodie basket, there is this bottle. Now, based on the last 14, 15 months, what would somebody assume this is? Hand sanitizer, right? It's sunscreen, so it's great to have that change of pace and that positive thinking. So, Bob, thanks for pointing that out. So, as mentioned, I would like to introduce George Rizzuto, who is the Chief Executive Officer at West Boca Medical Center. He and his team are sponsoring, obviously, this morning's event. It's entitled the Boca Center for Women's Care, Continuing the Journey at West Boca Medical Center. A little bit about George. In his role as CEO, George is responsible for overseeing all strategic, financial, operational, and clinical activities at the hospital. He has more than 35 years of healthcare leadership experience, having worked in the nonprofit and investor-owned healthcare sectors and at large teaching institutions as well as community hospital settings. Prior to his arrival here in West Boca, we mentioned it's almost been 2 years, August of 19, he served as CEO for St. Christopher's Hospital for Children in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. George also previously served as Vice President of Operations at Thomas Jefferson University Hospital, which is also in Philadelphia, where he led a large multidisciplinary teams focused on improving the hospital's financial performance, patient flow, and patient satisfaction. He also led Jefferson's strategic efforts in regard to the ambulatory site development. George graduated from LaSalle University in Philadelphia. You're noticing the Philadelphia theme, and if you talk to George, you know he is from Philly. Before earning his master's in business administration from Westchester University. During this past year, George led the hospital through the unprecedented challenges resulting from the pandemic. I've been a board member, as I mentioned previously, of West Boca for 5+ years, and since the arrival of George, I've had the pleasure of working with him, getting to know him, getting to know his team better. And I must say, just personally, he's done a fantastic job of leading this institution through the pandemic, and in obviously an industry that was on the front line plus, and so he's done a marvelous job. As we all know, with any situation like this, communication is the key, and George and his team did a great job with that. So George is a board member for both the Boca Chamber and the YMCA of South Palm Beach County. He's a valued member of our Boca community. He's been married for 35 years. I think a lot of you have met his wife, Jerry. They have 3 adult children and 1 grandchild. George, welcome, and we're looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Randy, not only for that introduction, but for all you do all these past 5 years for the board. And Chuck, same to you. You both, along with your board colleagues, have just been so important to our team, guiding us in your responsibilities for oversight of the quality of care that we deliver at our special hospital, West Boca Medical Center. And I'm going to be stressing that today. We're going to talk about our services, but I'm going to be stressing what we believe with all our heart makes us different and important to this community. Troy, I want to thank you, Chastity and Sarah and your whole team for letting us do this today. But also to echo Chairman Daskell's comments, you really showed us how to pivot during the challenges that we faced last year, and it was our honor to be the first virtual presentation and breakfast. My team's probably wondering, how could George a year ago been part of a virtual presentation and he still fumbles through all of the Zoom and WebEx meetings that we have? I'm honored today to be here with two of our many physicians, top docs, if you will, Dr. George Perez and Dr. Sharice Richardson. I'll tell you about them a little bit before they come up here. You know, when I sat here, my first meeting in September of 2019, Troy took a lot of shots at me in Philadelphia and the Eagles. And I remember sitting probably at table 8 there, much more crowded, and said, give me the podium and you'll have your turn. After the year the Eagles had, I think we'll wait and we'll have some bantering in the fall, but I don't want to take your time on that. But it's just been an absolute pleasure working with Troy and getting to know so many of you in the chamber. I have to acknowledge my team. Sitting here in front of me is the administrative team that runs the hospital. I couldn't do one thing any day without them. They're just so dedicated and skilled. And they're accompanied by some of our clinical leaders at this table and over here with some of our physicians and our marketing and business development team together help us do the things that Randy referred to. I didn't do anything. It's a team effort. And you'll see that in the care that we deliver if you've used our services like Troy has, or if you use our services in the future. I want to thank all of you, my fellow members. It's good to see you, as Randy said, face to face and not on the other side of a screen. I'm very much from Philadelphia, a hugger and a handshaker, and I really like to look into people's eyes, and it was great to see so many of you who welcomed me in September of 2019, and then again today it feels like we're old friends. My wife and I absolutely appreciate that. You know, we entitle this a journey, particularly focusing in on our Boca Center for Women's Care, because healthcare is a journey. There's no destination, there's no we've arrived, and we believe that at West Boca Medical Center. It's all about a pursuit of improvement, better outcomes, quality care, and better experience. And why? Because we're servicing all of you. It's an honor to be in the healthcare business, and I assure you, whether you've used our services or not, we're here for you. So let's tell you a little bit about West Boca. So there were a couple things that I hope resonated with you in that, and not knowing that Troy was going to share about his son being birthed 20 years ago, but we have a 35-year history of serving this community. And certainly my team and I were not there in those early days, but we carry that torch and we build off the foundation of what has occurred there. And Troy's story has been repeated to me many times by board members, by our own employees, by some of our doctors who use our services, and you'll hear more about that later. But no hospital can stand alone. That's been never more true than this past year. And we're very proud to be part of a large investor-owned organization, Tenet Healthcare. Across the nation, they own 65 hospitals, and most recently have moved in a big way into the ambulatory surgery center space because that's what people want. They want fast and quick recovery, particularly in the area of surgeries. And this size of an organization helped us more than we could have ever imagined during the pandemic, leveraging the supply chain, helping us with reimbursement, helping us respond to some of the most unprecedented issues that we have faced in our tenure as healthcare providers. I'm also proud that Tenet has 10 hospitals in Florida, 5 in Miami-Dade, and West Boca Medical Center is part of the Palm Beach Health Network. You see our sister hospitals listed there, Delray Medical Center, who we do a lot of work with and have transfer protocols for high-end neurosurgery and cardiac care. You see Palm Beach Gardens, Good Samaritan, and St. Mary's Medical Center, which also houses a children's hospital, Palm Beach Children, which is affiliated with our strong pediatric program. It's in the strength of this network that allows us to tap into best practices. And in healthcare, you want the best. And when you learn from others, you get to better answers faster. And you may not know this, but as business people, I thought it would be important for you to know the economic contribution that we as a Palm Beach Health Network make to this community. We employ over 6,500 employees. Now, this bed size may not be as meaningful to you as it is to us in the healthcare business, but I want to tell you, during the pandemic, the breadth of 1,700 beds allowed us to care for everybody who needed us during the surges of COVID, and we never had to worry about capacity. 73,000 people get cared for in our hospitals. 200,000 of those come through our emergency room. And that's how most people come to you for care, unless it's other elective care, which we'll talk about in a minute. And these 500,000 visits span the services of imaging, therapies, cancer treatment, etc. I thought it would be important to show you that our budget as a network is $1 billion. And under that, we contribute back to this community $28 million of taxes. And we've made huge multi-million-dollar investments at all of our hospitals collectively every year. That makes us the largest taxpayer and healthcare provider in Palm Beach County, and I'm glad today to have 2 of our 3,000 doctors that are affiliated with us. The other thing I hope resonated in that small vignette is that we're a community hospital. We're not a trauma hospital like Delray and St. Mary's. We're a community hospital. So we selectively serve a purpose for the services that we provide. And being in community hospitals, as Randy had mentioned, along with my other experience, community hospitals are different in this way. We have the ability and an obligation to deliver the same clinical care, high-quality care that you deserve and expect, but we can do it in a personalized way. On our journey at West Boca, what I see day in and day out, and was true when I arrived, and I see it manifesting even in a more larger way, is that while our team cares for you, they care about you. You're going to hear today about a lot of science from our doctors, but you're also going to hear them share the human side. And having gone through healthcare in a very large way with my mother before she passed a few years ago, in and out of various hospitals in Philadelphia and in New Jersey, I saw good community hospital care, and I saw care that I wasn't proud of. And so as the leader, along with my team of this organization, we focus on the fact that our board members, our neighbors, chamber members, employees, and family get their care there. Why would we do anything else but want it to be the best? So you'll see listed here some of our services, and I'll just scroll through them and let you look at those. And the reason I've selected these is these are what we would call routine services. Now, routine does not mean simple. Routine means common or usual. The things that all of us in this room either have come into a hospital for, emergency care, vascular care. We're going to hear today about our birthing and neonatal intensive care and various surgeries. Those common things we come for, we are prepared and avail to you. We served for 35 years, and when I think about the number of people that come through our emergency room that we have to be ready for every day, I'm just astounded by what the team has done in this past year. All of our team members really, as Randy said, frontline workers, showed courage, selflessness, and resilience, and I think it's made us a stronger hospital. I could tell you more and more about this, but our awards somewhat speak for themselves. Not the awards and receiving them, but the number of years you'll see that Health Grades and others have recognized us 4 and 6 years in a row. That tells me that we are doing something foundational, that's hardwired, that's not just for an award, but something real. And I want you to hear the confidence that I have in that so that you can select us for your care. So often I talk to our board about what differentiates us, and I think it is that combination of high quality and personalized care. And I could recant many stories to you, but we thought that would be best to hear from one of our patients who had a life-changing and even life-saving event with us.
My name is Diana Procaccini. I am 42 years old, and I'm a stay-at-home mom.
My name is Adam Procaccini. I am an elementary school teacher here in Boca Raton, Florida.
So this is actually my 3rd pregnancy. We had planned a C-section here, and at the last minute, she decided to go head down, and we ended up changing the plan to an induction.
She was getting Pitocin to get induced. Her head popped up, and she said, I can't breathe. At that point, I jump out of my seat, I run out to the nurse's station, and that's when everything kind of went down.
My diagnosis was an amniotic fluid embolism and a DIC stroke, which is caused by the embolism.
Diana had a very uncomplicated pregnancy and presented to West Boca Medical Center for just a routine induction of labor.
She received an epidural, and approximately half an hour later, her water was broken. Within a few minutes, she started experiencing change of status.
And shortly thereafter, she became unresponsive and was no longer breathing.
This scenario just happened so rapidly, where she was in critical condition and she needed us immediately.
Amniotic fluid embolism is a rare occurrence. We do perhaps 2,000 deliveries a year, and we last saw this 20 years ago.
It occurs when the water is broken, the amniotic fluid is broken, and some of the fluid goes into the vessels and travels through the body and causes issues.
After her delivery, she developed DIC, which is a known complication of amniotic fluid embolism. It's basically a condition where your blood doesn't clot and it can lead to life-threatening bleeding.
Then the whole staff down here just jumped in. We were very fortunate because all of the experienced personnel that were here were actually on the floor.
I was just there trying to assist wherever I could, whether it was putting in catheters so we can give her blood, ordering blood, and helping out with whatever I could with the airway, with the anesthesiologist, but just trying to support them whatever sort of what they needed.
And so everyone, responded quickly, and they filled the role that they needed to at that time. So I could focus my attention on delivering baby, while Dr. Ritter and Dr. Milan, resuscitating Diana. People were comforting, her husband, and the whole team just did their part to make sure everything ran smoothly.
Once she woke, every day was improvement. Every day was a success story. I was extremely happy with all of the information that I was getting from all of the doctors, all of the nurses.
The doctors and nurses all sat with me every day, literally made me feel extremely comfortable. It wasn't like being in a hospital, it was like having friends there.
For this patient specifically, there were no risk factors, no reason for us to believe that she would have this condition.
This is a rare etiology, total to 2 in 100,000, so very rare.
Some hospitals don't have, the available resources that you need to treat an amniotic fluid embolism and ultimately save that patient's life.
I would recommend West Boca Medical Center for their overall excellence in attention to detail and making you feel comfortable within your stay, whether it's for 24 hours or whether it's for 2 or 3 weeks.
So that's the combination of care that I was talking about. That's a recent event, and it's the science, and it's the attention to detail and the other things that were mentioned, and the preparation to be at the ready. Think about how rare that was. But we have been fortunate to attract top docs, hire great clinicians, and on our journey invest in technology and programs and processes. And I could tell you so much more, but I know you want to hear from our doctors. So I hope that those of you who didn't know us know a little bit more. I assure you that these kind of things occur across all of our services on a regular basis. We're not going to sit back on our laurels and think that we, as I said, have arrived at the best. We're going to continue to pursue that for long as my team is in these seats. And we hope that you will see that, and when you need us, we will be there for you. So on behalf of all of us at West Boca Medical Center, we wish you and your families good health, safety, and as you recover your businesses in 2021, we hope that, like us, you will do it with great hope and optimism. I really appreciate you listening today. Thank you. And now, you're in for a treat. One of the first physicians I met when I arrived was Dr. George Perez. And since then, he's become a great colleague and a partner. He has 25 years of specialization in the area of neonatology and pediatric medicine. And if that wasn't enough, he's the co-founder and entrepreneur of 2 healthcare companies, Air Medical Charters and Kids Medical, where he serves as their president. He's a professor in the Clinical Biomedical Science Department at FAU's Charles E. Smith College of Medicine. At West Boca Medical Center, you heard that he's our medical director for neonatal and newborn services, and he's a member of our hospital medical executive committee, where he helps us credential and determine whether the doctors are up to our standards. His clinical research is well published in the top medical journals, and just a few of them include the New England Journal of Medicine, the Journal of American Medical Association Pediatrics. You're going to enjoy his talk, and again, listen for the science, but also the humanity. Dr. Sharice Richardson, what a great person to work with. Lovely. Her patients love her. And she's board certified in OBGYN services. She's a Florida native. She was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Her education included the University of Miami, University of Central Florida, with residency at the University of Miami and Jackson Memorial Health System. She's part of our inaugural West Boca Medical Center Laborers Program, along with our medical director, Dr. Peskin, who looks like he had to step out and do a delivery. And she's also one of those people, one of those individuals, one of those physicians I mentioned that have used our services. Wait till you hear her personal story. Thank you again, and Dr. Perez, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you, George, for the warm introduction, and I want to thank the Boca Chamber for their invitation so we can have a conversation. And Troy, I'm glad that we were able to touch your family in a positive way. And first of all, thank you for having the trust in us to take care of probably one of our most precious, treasures, right, which is our children. So with that, I'd like to start off by, first of all, just like to ask people, with just maybe a few questions with a kind of a raise of the hands. How many of you all know what a level 3 neonatal intensive care unit is? Perfect. How many in this room have had children? Right? How many of you in this room have ever had a conversation with your obstetrician that you wanted to deliver in a level 3 neonatal intensive care unit? All right, great. I mean, that's sometimes nobody even has this conversation. And the reason why I want to start with that is because I want to let everybody know, I want to try to see if we can educate that should be, aside from picking your obstetrician, you should know exactly what hospital your obstetrician actually delivers in and what kind of level of care that obstetrician or that hospital can deliver your child. Because I've been on both sides. I've been on the side of being in a level 3, and I've been on the side of being in a level 3 accepting a patient from a non-level 3 facility. And it's night and day. So anything that we do in neonatology, basically, and doing this for 25 plus years, and like George says, I've had multiple hats in the healthcare arena, and thank you for considering me as a healthcare leader. But I've done a lot of research basically on multiple topics basically when it comes to neonatology. And 9 times out of 10, a mother, a father, number one, don't even know what hospital basically can do or cannot do for them, have never had a conversation of where to deliver. And I think that should be always the first conversation when picking an obstetrician, is making sure you know exactly, aside from the qualities, the qualifications, the compassionate care that this obstetrician can deliver, but where does he or she deliver? Because a lot of things that we do in neonatology is very time sensitive. So to boot, a level 3 neonatal intensive care unit is probably the highest level of care that the state empowers the facility basically to perform. And what that means is you can take care of the sickest of the sickest. So as you can see, basically, it's established for any care in the newborn, basically, and any degree of complexity and risk. I always think, and I always tell my parents, basically, is that a normal newborn is a postpartum diagnosis, right? Even though you might have a full-term baby, things can happen to a full-term baby. You need to understand that if, God forbid, something happens to a full-term baby, where is that baby going to be, right? A lot of places do not have a level 3. They end up stabilizing the child if they're able to, and then moving the child out. On any good day, a transport takes at least 4 hours from the time they actually leave a facility, pick up the child, and bring back to a level 3 institution. 4 hours in a child's life is an eternity. All right? A lot of things can happen in 4 hours. The other thing I tell my parents is, which is very important, is the transfer of a premature baby is almost like transferring an egg without a shell. All right? You try to move an egg from that table to that table in your hand, the palm of your hand, and you're going to see how that egg is when you end up in that table. The same thing when you're transferring a premature baby. Premature babies are predisposed to have an intracranial or intraventricular hemorrhage. Anything in these children, especially under 28 weeks, will have a child or could potentially have a child develop an intraventricular hemorrhage. Once that happens, it depends on the severity. Remember, for a child in the first week, and Susan and some of the nurses in this room can actually tell you, we actually restrain our children or our kids that are born premature, that their head always remains at midline. So they do this all day long, right? Anytime they do this or that, they have a tendency of either reducing or increasing cerebral blood flow. Remember, these vessels in the brain are very immature, and something as simple as moving the head one way or the other obstructs carotid blood flow, whether too much or too little. That causes a intraventricular hemorrhage, and that's something that can be with that child for the rest of their life. It can have a neurological impairment for the rest of their life. So everything that we do, like we always teach everybody, the first rule of medicine is do no harm, right? So everything that we try to do is we try to make sure that we do the best thing for these children. West Boca, for being a community hospital and having the ability of taking care of the sickest of the sick, is an amazing task. And thank George and his team, basically, for giving us the ability, basically, of taking care of these kids, not only very well, what we consider to be quality, what we consider to be compassionate, and we consider to be as close to home as possible. And we'll go over all the reasons why as close to home as possible. So we do have a full range of pediatric medical, surgical subspecialties, including ourselves as a neonatologist, anesthesiologist, and ophthalmologist. We also provide and sustain life support, and we also sustain respiratory breathing support and advanced imaging. Very important. Not every ventilator is the same. So at West Boca Medical Center, we have the ability of having something called a high-frequency ventilator. High-frequency ventilation basically is not your normal conventional ventilation. This is a ventilator that is very gentle to the lung. So everything that we do, remember when a baby is born, all the organs are virgin. It's not like when we get to be adults that we already start having some comorbidities. What we try to do every time possible is try to avoid any type of long-term effects. This type of ventilation basically gives us an ability of keeping a child ventilated for weeks and months and not having the chronic lung disease or oxygen dependency when the child goes home. And that's one of the things that we also are able to do at West Boca Medical Center. We also provide whole body hypothermia and neonatal surgeries. Whole body hypothermia is we've found out years ago when children were falling into frozen lakes, and all of a sudden that child would be under for 2 or 3 hours. And all of a sudden, we'd bring the child to the hospital, resuscitate him, and the child went home. No problems at all. So then we decided, well, that might be something that we can actually do, that modality, to try to see how we can actually save some of these nerve cells or these neurons in the brain where you freeze a child, just like you do in a lake, over 3 days, and then you rewarm them over 2 days. And then that's when you see that these children were having less and less complications of something as simple as having lack of oxygen during a delivery or after delivery. So those are the things that we're able to do at West Boca that you can't do at other facilities, which is amazing for a community hospital to have all these things, like George is saying. We're also capable of handling children under the age of 28 weeks or 2.2 pounds. Normally, that's only given to a place where you can have a level 3 NICU. And then we also not only do maternal transfers in, and Dr. Richardson will be talking a little bit about the OB piece of it, but also neonatal transfers in. So we're also a major referral center for other institutions that don't have a level 3 NICU. So we have a transport team basically fully equipped 24/7 basically in an event that a child is born at a facility that can't offer the things that we can actually not only move the mother, which is the best vehicle. We always try to attempt everything possible to try to move mom first. And if that isn't possible, then the next alternative is let's try to move the baby as safely as we can. Our NICU basically, as you can see, is the only level 3 NICU in Boca Raton, Florida. We have 34 beds, and they're all level 3 neonatal beds basically. It's a very large unit when you're talking about level 3s. A lot of level 3s will have 5, 10, 15 level 3s. Basically, we have 34. We take care of approximately 200 babies each year. We've had over 5,500 babies since the opening of West Boca's NICU back in 1989. Marcy was telling us came up to talk to me a little bit about ago, and that's incredibly important. We have a preemie reunion party that she attends every year, basically, where, like she's mentioned, basically, she's seen it over the years that we've gone from some babies that are developmentally challenged to all of a sudden now hardly anybody's developmentally challenged. And then she brought it up to my attention that it's amazing that over the years she's seen what a difference in the quality of care. We do have 35 dedicated nursing staff, basically 6 neonatologists. We practice, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then we also have an experienced transfer team that picks up infants from other hospitals, like I said, that are either level 1 or level 2 institutions, or some level 3 institutions that don't have all the specialties that we have. So that's another big thing that, at West Boca, not only do we have all the medical specialties that actually help us do our job better, but our surgical specialties as well. These are some of the pictures that we were so blessed, just like Troy's son, basically, that we've been able to touch their lives over the years. And that's just a few pictures of what they look like. As you can see, the nurses take very much pride in not only dressing them on special occasions, but you can see the little bows on their head and everything else, which is very nice to see. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and this is one of the things that we implemented just recently within this year, was our NICView camera. The great thing about the NICView camera, and this is a conversation that actually George and I had early on with his team, basically, I get a call one day from George, and he tells me, what do you think about a NICView camera? And I told him, that's amazing. You know, I mean, I've seen it. It's an incredibly powerful tool. During this pandemic, basically, it was even more valuable, although, you know, we did first install it in February, but this conversation happened during the pandemic. The beauty about West Boca Medical Center is during this whole crisis, when all industries were financially stressed, right, it definitely passed the stress test. I mean, because this is something that is expensive. It's not something that you can actually bill your insurance company for. And during this whole pandemic, when everybody else was you know, what I call counting their pennies, you know, George and his team basically thought it was the right thing to do. And that's, in the 25 years that I've been at West Boca has always done the right thing to do. You know, so, you know, they've always been there for the community, they've always been there for the families, and they've always been for the children, like I always say, that we so proudly serve. And then we serve the community, the families, and the children, right? So he's just over a phone call, basically, you know, we decided, you know what, this is the right thing to do, and this is not only the right thing to do now, but it's the right thing to do for the future. And it was incredibly valuable during this pandemic, and it's going to be valuable even for future. And the reason why is, and Dr. Richardson will probably elaborate, you know, moms basically, it could be a very happy experience, but it could also be a very stressful experience to delivering a child or being pregnant, right? Everybody always looks at that glass half full, some look at it as half empty. But with these cameras, it's incredibly important because 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, this mom or grandparent or sibling, remember these are all basically password protected, so you only can see your child basically and who you give that password to. But you can actually go in 24/7 and look at that child. It works incredibly well because for multiple factors, but one, mom can't drive after she delivers, right? So she's dependent on somebody, her husband to come out of work, a grandparent to actually take this mom to go see their child in the neonatal intensive care unit. So now they have the ability of 24/7 basically being with their child. Number two is that as women have become such a strong they're in their workforce, they need to save their maternity time. So why are you going to save your maternity time by staying home? Some of them basically use that maternity time for when they go and they pick up their child and they take them home. So now they can go to work, and during their breaks, basically, they can go in, see their child basically, and see how their child is doing. The other thing, because of what happened during this pandemic, that really hospital visitations were shut down. Right? Nobody was able to visit these preemies, basically, including the parents. Right? So this is a great vehicle that all of a sudden the parents were reassured, because remember, as a parent, every time that phone rings, you think it's the hospital calling you to tell you something, God forbid, happened to your child, whether it's at 3 in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the morning. So once you see that number from the hospital, the first thing in your mind is, they're calling me to run in real quickly because something happened to my child that I might not get there in time to see my child. And with the camera, when that phone rings, they were just basically there. They saw the child. You know, they understand that, no, we're not calling you to tell you something. We're maybe calling you to give you a lab result. We're maybe calling you to say, hey, come on in, whatever it might be. So it's not always a negative thing. The other thing that I've seen utilizing this NICView is, there's a huge epidemic or pandemic here in this country with postpartum depression, right? And, you know, Dr. Richardson is much more of an expert than I am on postpartum depression. But women get depressed after they deliver, right? And what more of a depression is it when this mom leaves their baby every day at home, in a hospital, not knowing if she's ever going to come back and seeing that child. The other thing it does is that our gold standard for feeding is breast milk. When a mom wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning to pump her breast, right, she can actually go in and see her child, and she can actually realize all the reasons why she's doing what she's doing at 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's incredibly powerful. So I'm sorry if I'm talking a little bit more time, but I think these are just incredible things that West Boca Medical Center has done, not only for this community, but even for people outside of our community that actually come in, whether you're a maternal transfer or a neonatal transfer, and these are things that we can offer at West Boca. So the NICView is basically, as you can see, it's an innovative small camera. Every child has a little camera over its isolette, basically, and that's how parents can actually tap in and see their child, grandparents or whomever. It allows parents and family and friends to view the infant in real time 24/7 through a secure online portal. It helps families develop that bond with their preemie and hospitalized infant, even when they can't be in the NICU with them. And then West Boca is the only hospital in South Palm Beach County and North Broward with a NICU camera. So we're proud to say that as well. We went live on February 15th of 2021, and we have approximately 47 daily users. This is we've had already over 12,000 logins, so it's incredible the reach. And as you can see from that map, we've already been into 16 different states, 8 countries, and 5 continents. It's incredible what this little camera can do, basically, and how many lives it can touch. And this is just a little video. Sorry. I haven't touched it.
Becoming a parent during the pandemic, challenging to say the least.
There are a few things more natural, more special than a parent's instant bond with their newborn. But what if those first few moments together, the first few weeks, maybe the first few months are just not possible? Think about that.
These mom and dads whose babies go to the NICU, that's hard.
You can't do that right now, and it's hard.
It's certainly been challenging because of the COVID rules, which we completely understand.
She was born February 27th. She was born at 28 weeks though.
Not only is she supposed to be with me, she's still supposed to be inside of me. So, it's a very tough thing.
Her second angel, Evelyn, just born very early, is also having a rough start.
Meredith Haney has seen the toll the separation takes on too many families to count. I want to show you something brand new that's helping many families with NICU babies during this pandemic.
Nick View cameras, but something brand new at her hospital only in all of Palm Beach and North Broward counties is giving everyone involved in caring for these precious new lives a reason to smile.
I was so excited. I was like a little kid.
And a way for parents to watch their baby up close, right from their phone.
I got to see her face for the first time, so that was a beautiful moment.
I got to see little things like she gets the hiccups. It's like a very silly thing, but I get to see it. I get to see her have the hiccups.
Families can literally sign on from anywhere in the world, and it's just been a tremendous comfort to the families. They can use any device that they have.
Find us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Health Network.
With that, I want to thank you for your attention, and I want to introduce my obstetrical colleague, Dr. Sharice Richardson.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm going to go ahead and get started for the sake of time. So I'm here to speak a little bit more about the Boca Center for Women's Care. So the center is located in West Boca Medical Center. However, it does have its own private entrance, own driveway, allocated parking, and of course, we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, in short, we're here all day, every day to attend to the needs of any mom. And so, just so you can see what our facilities look like.
At Boca Center for Women's Care at West Boca Medical Center. Welcome your baby in one of our spacious and private birthing suites. You can relax with the scent of aromatherapy and enjoy a celebration breakfast. Plus, you'll have peace of mind knowing that our OB physicians are at the hospital 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And should your baby require extra care, you can monitor him or her with our NICView camera system at Boca's only Level 3 NICU. Boca Center for Women's Care, exceeding your expectations.
And as you know, West Boca is not short on accolades. The Labor and Delivery Department is most certainly, not short of that either. We're in fact the only 5-star labor and delivery unit in Boca Raton, and we've had this distinction for the past 6 years. So There's another portion of this that I'm kind of excited to talk to you guys about. I think you've heard that we are starting a hospitalist program, and I am a part of the inaugural team with Dr. Peskin, who ran off to do what we all do to deliver babies, who's our medical director. And so you may be asking, okay, what is a hospitalist? So in a traditional model of care, the way that obstetricians work is we're kind of in an office setting between 9 to 5, and in between time we're going to the operating room to do our surgeries and coming in to deliver babies, do C-sections. As you can imagine, babies don't come in such a clean and neat fashion. They come whenever they like, right? And so the hospitalist model of care was kind of born of this. So in this particular case, we will have what we call laborists who will be in the hospital 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we're here to attend to several things. So for one, just to kind of help the private obstetricians. So we'll be, helping to assist in C-sections, giving emergency care, whether it's for precipitous deliveries or for GYN emergencies. We'll also help with fetal monitoring assessment. As someone who's been a private OB at home, trying to figure out if the strip looks good or bad, having another doctor there to give you that insight is kind of invaluable. And we'll also be there, like I said, just to kind of help out private OBs in whatever ways they see fit. In addition to that, some women, for whatever reason, come to the hospital and they don't have an obstetrician who admits to West Boca. We'll be there to attend to those patients as well. So whether this woman maybe didn't have prenatal care at all, or she's here on vacation from another state and found herself in an emergent situation, we're there to attend to those needs, okay? And then also just general coordination of care and, in urgent situations, communication, also very important. So the reason why I was asked to actually speak is because I have a very special perch, and West Boca just kind of occupies a very special space in my heart. So just a little bit on my story. So I actually delivered my first baby at 27 weeks while I was in my training in Miami for fetal distress. So I understand exactly what that feeling is like to have a preemie, right? He was in the NICU for about 4 months. It had its ups and its downs. We got through it, right? I proclaimed that that was my last baby, right? And then I fast forwarded a few years and I had a positive pregnancy test, and I'm filled with emotions. The first was surprise because somehow as an OB I had managed to unintentionally get pregnant. But right after that, I was very happy. I was also scared because, I had this history of having a baby who went to the NICU. There was so much uncertainty in that moment, but what I knew for certain was that I wanted to have my baby at West Boca. That was without question. The next thought in my head was that I had to have my next baby at West Boca, and that was for multiple reasons. I had already worked out of the hospital as an OB, so I was very aware of the level of the NICU, the quality of care that was given to these babies, and not just the quality of medicine, but the love that was given to these babies, right? And then as a patient or a mother, I also knew and had seen, the knit hats that they had given to the babies, the special onesies that they gave to certain mothers on holidays, how the nursing, coordinators and the managers kind of bent over backwards to make families and patients feel at home, happy, and just kind of the general family feel and vibe. And so there was, without question, I had to deliver my baby at West Boca. And I must say that, my experience as a patient didn't fall short of that. It actually exceeded that. The OR, I came in for my scheduled C-section. Everything moved like a well-oiled machine, which I was very surprised that there were still things about this that I didn't know, seeing as how I had done plenty of C-sections out of West Boca already, but it moved like a well-oiled machine. I was in the OR in a timely fashion. I had a very uncomplicated delivery, great anesthesia, clearly great caring staff. Even during the pandemic, there were no shortcuts taken. We felt very safe. Even though there were, understandably things that were different because of the pandemic, you wouldn't have even noticed it. It was just the greatest experience that I've had. And, so for me, I would say that West Boca occupies a very special place in my heart, not just because, of this new chapter in my career, but because I was able to have a normal, regular delivery that was anything, but regular. It was extraordinary at our hospital. And for that, I'm just so grateful. And so thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
That was very eye-opening and very, very informative. Thank you again, Dr. Perez, Dr. Richardson, George, the entire staff and support groups here today. So really, really a great presentation. So again, that concludes our program. I would like to give a final thank you to West Boca Medical Center, for being out here today, for supporting us during this time, and everybody, thanks for your support. Spread the word to fellow chamber members that we're back with our breakfast. We want to get more people out here. As Troy indicated, we're increasing capacity. So again, thank you all. Have a wonderful day.